Hey folks, this is Johnny. Welcome to another home studio trainer show. And this video comes as a special request from Patreon user Anthony Hendricks. He was asking how to create the ducking effect in Studio One. So it should be pretty simple. I'll get to that here in a second. If you guys could, I'm very, very red today. I don't have my hat on or anything. So anyway, before we get started here, I'd like you to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow if you're over on Rumble, or if you want special requests like this, go to Patreon, become a Patreon member, and ask your question over there. All right, so I'm going to turn off the video here because I am completely not set up for this. There we go. All right, so the ducking effect. I have a song here that I just created to see if I could really get this to work. So here is the song. All right, now this can apply also to if you've got guitar tracks and you want the vocal to duck, or you've got a consistent pad going in the background and you want the bass to duck the rest of these sustaining tracks to give it that pumping effect. So let's go ahead and give this a shot. So I've got 3 audio tracks here. They're instrument tracks, but they are basically instrument keyboard. I got a bass. I have Deep Flight 1, just a pad sound, and then I've got Presence, which is a string sound. So the thing I don't want to happen is I don't want the drums to duck. So what I did is I went ahead and I separated a couple of the tracks of the drums out a little bit. So I've got the kick and the snare. If you look down here, I got the kick and the snare on their own tracks. Or I should say their own channels, because I'm using a VST instrument. So basically I want to use the kick to create this ducking effect. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my 3 instrument tracks into a bus. Excuse me. Yes, after 2 months, I have this stupid cough. All right, so I'm going to highlight this track. I'm going to hold Shift and highlight the last, and I've got all 3 selected. I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to say add a bus for selected channels. There we go. So now, there we go. So I've got all of the instruments going out of their own bus. It's strange because I don't usually write music like this. So it's kind of fun. All right. So this is going to be instrument bus. All right. So the first thing that I want to do now, or the next thing I should say, I want to go to my effects, and I want to get the Studio One compressor. Let's go with the compressor. I'm going to put it on the bus channel for the instruments. So the next thing that I want to do in order to create this effect is I want to use the side chain option. So I'm going to click on this little guy right here. And I'm going to find the kick. So basically, I don't want the compressor to trigger until the kick sounds. So I'm going to click the kick. There we go. So now, very cool. So now if I go to the kick, you can see, if I go to the sends, I don't have what I'm looking for here. Hold on a second. There we go. You have to make sure that you click the send box, not the output box. Good little rule of thumb there. All right, so now this will give us the ability to adjust the kick going into the compressor. So the next thing I want to do is I want to go to this little guy right here. This is the pre-fade. I want to make sure that this guy is yellow so that I can really adjust going in to the compressor without adjusting the level of the kick. So that way this doesn't screw up my mix. And you can see up here already the kick is starting to trigger the compressor. But you're not really hearing an effect on the instruments yet because I haven't made any adjustments. So I'm going to put the knee at about 9. This is really kind of random. I like the attack and my release pretty much the same, but I want the release a little bit slower. I want the release a little bit slower so that you can hear the pumping. So this is how fast the compressor is going to react, and this is how quickly it is going to release the effect. It'll make sense to you in a second here. All right, I'm going to keep the ratio pretty tight. I'm going to keep it at about 14. And watch, as I drop the threshold, you'll start to hear the ducking effect or the pumping effect. Look at that. Boy, that sounds good. Now I could go really crazy. Or I could actually kind of ease it. Nice. All right, so remember some of the important settings are to make sure that the attack and the release, the attack needs to be kind of tight to react right away to the kick. The release needs to be kind of easy to let it come up slowly. So if you listen, if I open up the release a little bit more, you can hear that the track is going, or the other instruments are going to come back slowly. If I tighten this up a bit, it's not going to be so evident. So the important thing here is going to be the ratio, getting it like, say, about anywhere from 18 to 20, just to keep it kind of flat, and the threshold is really going to be your gauge as to how much the ducking or pumping effect comes through. And like I said, this can be applied to guitar tracks if you want a vocal to duck your guitars. Whenever the vocal comes through, you're probably going to want the release a little bit higher to kind of keep it low, or you're going to want it a little tighter to come up right away after the vocalist is done. This can be applied to a bass and ducking the rest of the instruments or whatever you want. So I hope that you guys found this helpful. It's a really cool thing to be able to do if you got a bunch of sustaining instruments. I guess if you're doing dance music or anything like that. I'm really not into the current music genres right now. But for this type of music and trance and all sorts of stuff, this is a really good way to accentuate what you're doing. All right. I hope that makes sense. I hope you guys got something out of this. As always, please leave your comments down below if you have any ideas, or if you're a Patreon member, let me know if you would like to see a different kind of subject. Well, even if you're not a Patreon member, you can make requests, but I have a list for those. But if you want your video right away, go to Patreon, become a member. Even if you support me for just a couple bucks, it is an awesome option to get some real one-on-one stuff. All right, cool. Hopefully you guys got something out of that, and I'll see you all in the next video.